Shall we go ahead?
Yeah,
Let's get started.
So, hello everybody. My name is Siri Sjöberg, and I am a payroll and HR specialist. I have over 15 years of experience in HR and payroll administration, and around 8 years of them here at Azets. Mostly, I teach the younger generation of payroll analysts, and in order to be an effective teacher, I, of course, also work directly with our customers calculating salaries, especially for our international clients. And I'm not here by myself, so Rita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Rita Junnila. I have over 30 years of experience both in Finland and abroad. I started my career with in-house payroll in the US before dipping my toes into international outsourced payroll. I moved to Finland about 13 years ago, and I began working as a payroll specialist here at Azets for clients with outsourced payroll in Finland. I really enjoy helping our customers understand their payroll better, so I'm very excited to talk to you today. Siri, could you tell us a little bit more about Azets?
Sure. While Rita and we work mainly in the field of payroll, Azets is so much more. We are an international company of experts in many fields. In Finland, we have more than 800 employees in 14 locations, and internationally, we work in 6 countries in Europe. Our customer sizes are varied from one-man shops to international publicly listed companies. We provide services in payroll and accounting, but also other areas such as legal, HR, and business consulting. So if you need an HR software locally or in the Nordic countries, or wonder how to handle travel invoices, or want to recruit more employees, or need legal advice, we can help. Our advisory services are varied from compliance and sustainability themes to tax and business advisory, all the way to the topic of pay transparency directive in Europe, which is a very hot topic at the moment. Our colleagues in Finland, in the Nordic countries, and around Europe are happy to help you with your business needs.
But today we're talking about Finland and Finnish vacation law. During this presentation, we will focus on the basics of the Finnish Annual Holidays Act. Therefore, the rules therein will be used here. Finnish vacation is a very broad and complex topic, as the statutory vacation can vary depending on the collective agreement in force, as well as any local or company-specific additional vacation allowance you may provide your employees. It's not possible to go through every possibility, but we will highlight a few points where your own accrual and payments may differ from those mentioned in the Act. We will briefly discuss the Finnish vacation cycle, consisting of the earning year and the taking year. We will talk about what the total accrual consists of, winter and summer vacation periods, as well as a few short examples. We will touch on the topic of vacation salary and also discuss the employee eligibility and entitlement to vacation, as well as your responsibility as an employer in the vacation planning and follow-up process. Finally, we'll talk about vacation payment at the end of employment and the few exceptional cases where vacation compensation may be paid out during employment. While it is impossible to detail every consideration in the Annual Holidays Act, we hope that this webinar will help you feel more confident in understanding the rules governing annual vacation in Finland and a more secure foundation for knowing what questions to ask in the future. We also sincerely invite you to contact Azets if you feel you need more guidance. Our payroll and HR experts are happy to help you find a solution for managing annual vacation, whether your situation is very clear or more complex. If you or your company is new to Finland, you may find the rules we discuss seem very strict. I was born and began my career in the United States, where the right to vacation has not been enshrined in the law nationally. So when I moved to Finland, I had a lot to learn as a payroll specialist, but as an employee, I found it all very interesting. So let's dive into the Finnish vacation year. Siri, where shall we begin?
Well, I think that a good place to start would be to note that the Finnish annual vacation cycle is not based on the calendar year. Instead, it is based on the vacation seasons, summer and winter. Vacation must first be earned, and then it can be used. We will be using terms vacation earning year and vacation taking year in this webinar. Because vacation must first be earned, it means that for new employees, by law, the first paid vacation might not be for a year or more after hire. So let's look a bit more closely at the cycle of earning and taking year and what a week of vacation in Finland looks like.
So the most important thing to understand about the earning year is that the earning year in Finland is from the 1st of April until the 31st of March. During this period, employees may not use vacation they are currently earning. So as an example, an employee starting work today in April 2026 will earn their vacation days until March 31st, 2027, and may only begin using these days on May 2nd, 2027. We will talk more about the vacation entitlement and eligibility in the coming slides. Under the Annual Holidays Act, the maximum number of vacation days that can be earned is 30, which is 5 weeks of vacation.
As the days are accrued until March 31st, we in payroll can't always give you the confirmed amount of accrued vacation days before April, when the payroll events and absences from March have been handled and verified. Because a complex long-term absence can have effects on the final vacation and free time for the year, we also make a final annual check to ensure your employees receive the correct vacation balance to begin using in May. You can generally expect the final vacation year-end report from Azets in April after the earning year has closed.
After the end of the earning year, the employees may begin to use the days they earned in the taking year. Starting in May 2026, vacation days earned from April 1st, 2025 until March 31st, 2026 may be used. And of course, under the taking year, a new earning year has started on April 1st, 2026. Finland separates the holiday taking year into two periods, summer vacation and winter vacation. For an employee earning the full 30 days, this translates to 4 weeks of summer vacation and 1 week of winter vacation. The summer vacation period is May through September, and the winter vacation period is from October through April. One important point is that during the summer vacation period, at least 2 weeks of vacation must be used consecutively. We will address more of the employer's responsibilities here later in the presentation.
When vacation is taken, all vacation weeks must include Saturday under the Annual Holidays Act. So during this presentation, a vacation week refers to this statutory week. Yes, we usually work 5 days per week in Finland, but when on vacation, 1 week of vacation is 6 days. The reasons for this are historical, and Rita and I, we're just happy that we don't have to actually work for 6 days per week anymore. You shouldn't mess around with the Saturday rule too much because it comes from the law. And please note that Annual Holidays Act states a few special days that are not counted in the vacation week. The list is available here on the slides.
Nowadays, many companies decide to give the statutory 30 vacation days per year for the employees, but count only Monday through Friday, or 6 weeks. Collective bargaining agreements and local company policies may differ here as well. Your payroll provider or advisory service can help you if any variation to the Annual Holidays Act applies to your company.
So you can count different amount of days in different situations.
Yes, we calculate a different amount of days in payroll on different occasions, and these occasions themselves can impact the vacation accrual. For example, a working day means usually the normal Monday through Friday, but of course, depending on your industry, a working day for an employee might be a Saturday or Sunday also. For example, in shift work or working in shops and so on. Sometimes we, however, calculate the so-called ordinary working days, and these include Saturdays as well. This is the case for vacation week as mentioned previously, as well as some other absence types. Here is an example of the May 2026 vacation calendar. Ordinary working days are the so-called black days in the calendar. So being on vacation between the 11th and 17th of May will only take up 5 vacation days because one day is a red day or a national holiday, but being on vacation between the 18th and 24th of May will take 6 vacation days. And sometimes we calculate calendar days for certain absences. That includes all 365 of them. Now that you've gotten into some of the tools that we use to calculate a vacation accrual in days, let's now talk about what is more important to your employees. How much is the vacation salary?
Oh, that is a hard one to answer. Let's start with a little bit easier. What is vacation salary? Vacation salary is the salary that is paid during your employee's vacation time. For most salaried employees, this will be equal to the normal salary they would have received while at work. The important thing to note here is that the Annual Holidays Act specifies, however, that the average salary should be received. And this gives rise to complications in the calculation of the vacation salary. For example, employees who are hourly based, if they sometimes work 5 hours per week and sometimes 40 hours per week, what is the average salary during vacation in such case? Or employees who receive commissions or bonuses, which are included in the vacation salary. During vacation, they can't earn more commission because they're not working, but they should still receive their average salary, including personal commissions. Or what about salaried employees whose working time changes during the earning year or before the taking year from 100% to 60% and back again? How would you calculate the average salary then? Because the calculations can differ in each scenario, we can't give you a concrete calculation examples here, because there is not only one way to calculate the daily price of a single vacation day. Each scenario has their own calculation rule. Maybe you could give us an example of the employees whose work time changes. These cases come up quite often due to part-time sick leaves or part-time family leaves.
So in this example, the employee worked 100% FTE or full-time last year when earning the vacation, and now during the summer vacation period, their working schedule is 60% because they're on part-time childcare leave at home. So here we've written a very simple example on the slide where the employee's working hours change only at the start of each earning year. Then the case is simple, and the employee should be paid according to their salary at the time of the earning year. So in this case, which I've described here, the employee would receive 100% of their salary, even though right now their working schedule is 60%, because when they earned the vacation days, they were working at 100%. So it's more complex when the employee changes working hours in the middle of the earning year. In that case, the employee will be paid vacation salary as a percentage of their total earnings for vacation earned during that earning period, regardless of the working hours when they use it. So that means that if the person returns to 100% full time and in the earning year they worked part-time for all or part of the previous earning year, their vacation salary may be lower than their current salary. As we've discussed already, the Annual Holidays Act covers many rules, and your CBA may even have more on how to calculate the average salary in each case. Collective bargaining agreements also mention the vacation bonus more often than not.
Yes, they do. While we are focusing here on the basics of the Finnish Annual Holidays Act, vacation bonus is worth mentioning, as most collective agreements in Finland require it to be accrued and paid. There are many ways of paying it out, but generally vacation bonus is valued at a half of the value of the vacation salary of the accrued days and should be included in the vacation liability on your books. It can be paid out either as a vacation days are taken or at specific times of the year, depending on your collective agreements or your local agreements. Most employees in Finland receive a vacation bonus, and if in doubt, you should check this point with your own collective agreement or current payroll provider. Remember that even if your company has not itself joined a union, a generally binding collective agreement may apply to your company in Finland. Vacation bonus is meant to be a little extra money to use on vacation. So that is why it is usually paid when the vacation days are taken, or paid 2 times per year around the summer vacation taking period and winter vacation taking period. I personally prefer paying it twice a year, as from a payroll administrative point of view, it is a bit easier than to keep track on everybody each month. But we can't make this decision for our clients, however, because their own collective and local agreements must be respected. And here is an interesting fact. Historically, it has also been paid wholly or partly only after the vacation to ensure that the employees actually come back to work after the vacation and, don't move to Sweden during their holiday for factory work or something like that.
Well, my father-in-law did that back in the day. I think it was in a mine or something. Loma raha means holiday money, but you might also hear your employees speak of it as lomalta palu raha, or return from holiday money. Many collective agreements these days still specify that unless otherwise agreed, at least part of the vacation bonus is paid only after the employee returns to work.
So the takeaway here is that even though vacation bonus is not based on the law, it is still a very common part of the Finnish vacation culture and is paid out in most companies. I think we have been talking a lot about collective bargaining agreements, even if we should be talking about the Annual Holidays Act. Why is that?
Well, it might be good to understand how the laws and other rules interact with each other in Finland. Here we use vacation as an example, but it can apply to other things as well. When we move from the bottom up of this pyramid, we can always have more advantageous rules for the employees. The Annual Holidays Act is the basis for the vacations. It states the minimum. But when you go up a step to the level of the collective bargaining agreement, we can have better terms for the employees. And CBAs are negotiated by the unions, and usually the vacation bonus is based on a CBA of the industry, as the law does not mention a holiday bonus at all.
Exactly. And then when we go up one more step on the hierarchy, we have local agreements. So if the vacation bonus is based on the CBA negotiated by unions, a local agreement is between a single company and its employees. In this example, it might be that the CBA requires your company to pay out vacation bonus, but the local agreement tells your employees when it is paid out. Locally, your company can always give better terms to your employees than what the previous steps demand. So locally, you can also decide that a week's vacation, for example, doesn't take a Saturday, and this will result for the employees to have 6 weeks of vacation instead of 5 for the accrued 30 days. It's important that your payroll provider be aware of your local agreements so that they can ensure your vacation accrual is correct and the settings for used vacation days have been customized for your company. It is very important also to have any local agreements in writing in your company record in case of questions later on.
And the last step in the pyramid is the employment contract. Here you can make special agreements with your employees. As vacation must first be earned and then used, it's quite usual to have an employment contract, especially for someone starting late in the vacation earning year, that states that the employee can have, for example, 2 weeks or 1 week of paid absence during the first year of employment, even though they don't yet have any actual vacation to be accrued or used. If we use the example of the employee starting today, as per law, they start accruing vacation from employment start date onwards and can only use their earned vacation in May 2027. So it might be that when he or she started, they negotiated with your HR to have, for example, 2 weeks of paid absence in this coming summer of 2026. And when all the steps are in place, it's really important to remember that a step cannot cancel out or reduce benefits given in the step below. For example, 5 weeks of vacation is the standard in the Finnish Annual Holidays Act. So your local agreement can't say that the employees will get 4 weeks.
Exactly. So the law has the minimum requirements, but all the other steps of the pyramid are always binding contracts also, just with better terms for the employee. The other thing that we have been talking about is the vacation accrual and liability. So let's continue on that subject.
So vacation accrual is part of your bookkeeping reports that show how much money you as an employer owe the employees accrued vacation days that have not been used yet. It's made up of the following elements: vacation days earned in the current year and their currently calculated value, vacation days earned in the previous period or previous earning years, but not yet taken and their currently calculated value. And if your company also accrues vacation bonus, it should be reflected in the vacation accrual for the parts not yet paid to the employees. And finally, employer costs related to these accruals. Employer costs are made up of Social Security, pension, unemployment, and accident and group life insurance. These accruals can be customized for your company using averages, Azets, so your local payroll provider can consult with you on a more precise accrual, or you may accrue them yourself. Here is a link to the average Social Security cost from previous several years from the Ministry of Social Affairs and Health. Your payroll provider can give you accurate information only if they know when the employees take their vacation. Otherwise, they can only give you an estimate of the accruing vacation days and your vacation liability balance in days in euros. Vacation liability is a debt, and keeping a data on the debts is mandatory, whether your company chooses to have your provider keep the accrual or whether you keep your own accrual, for example, in your HR system. Your finance department must have the accrual on the books as a liability.
So
let's take a look at an example of the type of reporting a payroll provider can give you for your vacation accrual. So this is a simple example where your company has just one employee and it's called the vacation accrual report per person. The accrual comes directly from the payroll software and, at least at Azets, does not include the employer cost accruals in the standard report. If you have a different provider, your vacation accrual report may be visually different, but at Azets we can modify the accrual to your needs or give it to you as a file to upload to your accounting software. While the format might differ, the vacation accrual report should include the information stated earlier.
exactly. In this slide, we have the same data in two different forms, but as you can see, the vacation accrual includes the current actual accrual year and also the previous years. The current year is the accruing vacation, which is not yet available to use for the employee. And the previous year is the vacation earned, which the employee can now use, and the holiday bonus available to be paid out according to your company's policy. Remember that the current year's accrual is a liability and it must be paid out if your employee leaves during the earning year. We'll discuss this more in another slide. So now we've covered the basics. Let's discuss about how many vacation days an employee can accrue each vacation year. We have been talking about a maximum of 30 days or 5 weeks. How does one get the maximum amount of vacation?
So as we discussed earlier, the Finnish way is quite straightforward. First vacation days are earned and then they can be used after the start of the next earning year. Vacation days earned are 2 days per month during the first vacation earning year of employment. If the employee is not employed during all 12 months period, the maximum accrual is therefore 24 days if the employee has not reached their 1-year anniversary or full year of employment as of the 31st of March. Vacation days earned are 2.5 days per month after 1 year of employment, retroactively to the start of the current vacation earning year.
So the key here is to check the situation on March 31st. And please note that half days only live on the accrual and not in real life. So if a person has accrued 27.5 days, they will get to keep 28 days of vacation during the taken period. Half a vacation day is always rounded up to a whole vacation day. If the employee started working in 1st of April 26, by 31st of March 27, they have worked a full year and have accrued 30 days of vacation to be used in summer 2027 onwards. But if the employee starts working today, they will have accrued 11 times 2 days, so 22 days of vacation by March 31st, 2027.
That's right.
But why only 11 times 2 if they started working in April?
Well, vacation eligibility is based on employee presence days, or hours. So an employee must be present a minimum amount of time each month to earn vacation. For monthly salaried employees, 14 working days per month, and for hourly employees, 35 hours per month. This rule can be particularly complex because even if your hourly employee doesn't work enough hours to earn a vacation day, they may still be entitled to vacation pay. However, we will talk about this on another slide, but it's important to note also that an employee's working type cannot hold more than one rule at a time. So for example, if your employee is salaried under the 14-day rule, the employee can't be changed intermittently to 35 hours in order to avoid losing an accrual. So if I, as a salaried employee, am on unpaid personal leave from April 15th to April 30th, I will not accrue vacation because I've not been present for 14 days. My rule doesn't change to 35 hours per month simply because I did work more than 35 hours in that month, because my working time rule is 14 days of presence. But to answer your question, if an employee starts work on 23rd April 2026, they will have been present only 6 working days, and therefore they won't earn any vacation at all in April if they're salaried, as there's no partial month accrual in Finland as there is in other countries. However, an hourly employee who works full-time, present for 6 working days, would work more than 35 hours per month, and that person would earn vacation accrual in April.
Yeah, it's complex. So whenever you're in doubt, ask your payroll provider if you need more information about an employee's accrual. From the reports on the previous slide, you should check for any anomalies, for example, if 9 out of 10 people have earned 2.5 days in April, but some none at all or only 2 days, and you don't know why, we are here to help clarify things.
And please also note that this, as in many of our examples, is kind of the most simple situation to describe. An employee might be paid monthly salary, and even though they would fall under the 35-hour rule, and vice versa. So it shouldn't be a headache for you. You can rely on your payroll provider for expertise in the complex situations. However, you should always make sure that the information about your employees' working time rules are completely up to date at all times, and you provide this information to your provider. That way they can track their vacation and accrue it properly for all of your employees.
Yeah. So the basic rules seem quite simple. The employee must work a minimum amount per month to accrue either 2 or 2.5 days of vacation per month, depending on the seniority. First, the vacation is earned up until 31st of March, and then it is used starting from May onwards. But apart from working, vacation will also accrue during some absences. So let's talk about those next. The most important takeaway here is that even if the employee is absent from work and doesn't work minimum of 14 days or 35 hours during that month, they still might be accruing vacation. This is determined by the absence type and length. I think that the clearest determination is that if the absence is paid by the employer, it is considered as equivalent to a working day, such as a vacation day. So for example, if I'm on vacation from July 13th to July 31st, I haven't worked 14 days that month, but my employer pays vacation salary during my absence. So that means more vacation accrues also in July. In the next slides, we'll briefly discuss some types of leave during which an employee earns vacation.
Yes, paid absence is considered as equivalent to a working day. However, even during unpaid absences, an employee might still accumulate vacation days. The best example is maybe a longer sickness period or an absence due to an accident at work. The applicable collective bargaining agreement states the length of the paid sick leave if it differs from the paid time as defined by the Employment Contracts Act. Remember, the law states the minimum requirements, and CBAs usually state more advantageous sets of rules for the employee. The Annual Holidays Act defines the length of vacation accrual in the case of sickness-related absences. Employees continue to accumulate vacation during the first 75 working days of sick leave, and that's combined sick leave and can be over many different periods of sick leave, even if the sick leave is unpaid in whole or in part. An employee also has the right to care for a sick child under 10 years of age for a period of 4 days per sickness event, and this does not impact the employee vacation accrual, even if the employer does not pay salary during this absence.
But what about the really, really long sickness absences?
All right, so here's an example that we made of the sort of calculations that need to be done in the case of very long or multiple periods of sickness absences, especially if the absence is spread over more than one vacation earning year. Note here that on the red periods, when vacation is not accruing, the days are not considered as equivalent to work. So if the red period starts on the 8th of September, for example, and continues for the rest of the month, the employee earns no vacation in that month, even though it's a sick leave, which we stated previously, a person may get vacation during. But if the red period starts on the 25th of the month, the 26th through 30th are not equivalent to working days, but the employee still earns 2 or 2.5 days of vacation for that month, since their sickness in the green section was at least 14 working days in the month. So furthermore, as we see here, the vacation accrual restarts if a long absence crosses the vacation year end, as we see in this case. The employee had stopped earning vacation after 75 working days of sickness in the previous earning year, and the sickness continued into the next earning year. From the start of the next earning year, the vacation accrual starts again, but in this case, the vacation was accrued already for 15 days during this continuous period, and therefore will accrue for only 60 days, 60 working days, during the current year, 75 total. So now if the employee is returning to work, let's just say that this is in December of the next earning year, and then in January they become ill again with a different sickness, they will still earn vacation for 15 days maximum during this vacation year. I think you can see that the tracking of sick leave is really important in order to calculate the correct number of vacation days to accrue for the year. So in case of absences where there's no vacation accrual, the months are always going to be all or nothing, according to the minimum time at work or days equivalent to work that we described earlier. But instead of working time, we're looking at the sick time, which is equivalent to working days in green up to 75 per year. And please note that the part-time workers and part-time sick leaves both have their own sets of rules, which we won't unfortunately have time to cover in this webinar.
So after that, I think our audience will not be surprised if a payroll provider asks detailed questions in regards to absences. Once we have the data, we can do the math and provide our customers with answers. So what I gather here is that long sickness can affect the vacation accrual after the 75-day mark is met.
Exactly. Small technical.
There we go.
So yes, indeed. And that's why the Annual Holidays Act has been changed in recent years to accommodate EU regulations. So EU regulations give guidance on how many vacation days at minimum an employee should have. If the accrual is then less than 24 days due to a long sickness, accident, or rehabilitation period, additional days off will be granted. Additional days off are granted like vacation. They're used like vacation, 6 days per week, paid out like vacation, but they are not vacation. They're treated as a separate, different type of payment during time off, as well as at the end of employment compensation. So we don't have the time to go through everything about this EU directive, but the most important takeaway information is listed here, that if an employee stops accruing vacation due to a sickness, you should keep track on how many days they have earned in the earning year. If less than 24, you must top them up with these special additional days to 24 total days off. The payment of salary for these days will be on a separate pay code other than vacation salary. The additional days off are not considered as days equivalent to work. So if someone uses, say, 15 additional days off during free time, they won't be counted toward the presence days for vacation. The social insurance calculations in the payroll is different for these days off, and that's why a different pay code must be used.
Yeah. So the most important takeaway is that the additional days off are only related to very, very long sickness absences. Short sickness, that's quite common absence, and usually sickness absences don't go over the 75-day mark. But what about other longer absences, like family leaves?
So changes in parental leave in Finland occurred in 2022. I think it's a good idea to mention it here because in your system, you may still see things like maternity leave, paternity leave, extended parental leave. But nowadays in Finland, it's been standardized so that it's gender neutral and is called parental leave. The only exception is pregnancy leave. Pregnant employees may take at least 14 working days, up to 40 ordinary working days prior to the birth of the child. Pregnancy leave lasts up to 40 ordinary working days, and this is a part of the parental leave. But both parents, both the birthing and non-birthing parent, receive the same allowance for parental leave in total. That is 160 ordinary working days.
Yeah, so both parents have a right to 160 ordinary working days of parental leave. And during this leave, vacation accrues normally. Whether the parental leave absence is paid by the employer or unpaid, the accrual of 160 ordinary working days applies for both parents. Again, the CBA has the rules of the paid and unpaid nature of different types of absences, and your company may have policies for paid leave that exceeds the required amounts in the CBA. So be sure to always inform your payroll provider of any changes in these policies to avoid errors in the salary payments. And the childcare leave, which is usually following the parental leave, that doesn't accrue vacation days. The social insurance institution in Finland, short name being Kela here, Kela offers support, financial and otherwise, for both employers and employees. You can read more about family leaves on their website. You will have the materials next week. The link will be here, so you can get access to Kela's site. So while sickness and different family leaves are probably the most common absence types, it is important to understand that also other kinds of leave can accrue vacation. Each absence type have their own set of rules regarding vacation accrual, and those rules are unrelated to the paid or unpaid nature of the leave because they come from the Annual Holidays Act. So for example, study leave. For each vacation earning year, 1 month of vacation accrues, meaning 2 or 2.5 days, depending on the seniority. Or layoffs. Layoffs have different set of rules depending if they are executed as part-time or full-time layoffs. Or military refresher training that is usually mandatory by law in Finland and thus has no effect on the vacation accrual. The absence days are treated the same as working days.
Now, garden leave or paid notice period, vacation will still accrue until the end of employment, even if the employee has been released from their obligation to work. Other paid leave equivalent to present, such as vacation or authorized absence per a collective agreement, such as marriage leave or moving days, these accrue vacation days. Also, company-specific holidays don't impact the vacation accrual. Usually, these kind of absences are 1 to a few days, and thus usually the minimum work amount of 14 days would apply anyway. On the other hand, personal unpaid leave does not count as a presence day and doesn't accrue vacation. So to reverse our earlier example, if instead of on vacation, I'm on personal unpaid leave from the 13th until the 31st of July, I haven't been present for 14 working days, and the absence I took is not equivalent to a working day, so I wouldn't accrue vacation in July in this case. For part-time employees, if they are not working 14 days in the month, they may still accrue vacation days or earnings under separate rules.
So in summary, each type of absence has its own rules regarding vacation accrual. So what we have gathered so far is that the employee must work a minimum amount per month to accrue either 2 or 2.5 days of vacation per month, depending on the seniority. First, the vacation is earned up until March, and then it's used starting from May onwards. And vacation can also accrue during absences based on the absence type. We have learned that the employer is responsible for having some kind of estimate of the vacation liability in their books, and this can be determined with a vacation accrual report. But what other responsibilities does the employer have according to the Annual Holidays Act?
In Finland, the employer bears the ultimate responsibility to ensure that the employees are using their earned vacation days. So managing and planning vacation is very important. An employer generally cannot remove earned vacation days from an employee at the end of the taking year simply because the employee failed to request or take vacation. The rules about this are complicated, so planning your employee's vacation each year is essential. As the employer, you must take vacation planning, make it a priority. The best time to start is right before the vacation earning year ends, and the second best time is right after we stop talking to you today, if you don't already have a process in place. In the first stage of planning, the law requires you to request your employees' views on the vacation timing, and also that you consider them seriously and take them into account when making the vacation schedule. While you must take your employees' wishes into account in the vacation planning, it doesn't mean you are required to approve every vacation request you receive if there's a business reason for denying it. If you must deny vacation, plan with your employees as soon as possible when the vacation can be taken, and far in advance if you can. Similarly, if your employee doesn't request vacation, it's always a good idea to have a discussion about it ASAP. It's important to note here that you must treat your employees fairly and equitably, and this means without favoritism, like without prioritizing the wishes of some employees over others when there is a conflict. the Finnish anti-discrimination rules can apply here.
And to repeat, the Finnish vacation doesn't recognize half days, so employees should take vacation at minimum in full day increments. But the spirit of the law prefers weeks. You can get refreshed better when you take real vacation and not intermittent days off.
Yes, and to come back to the planning example, I always request vacation during a certain week in the summer, for example. There are a lot of family celebrations during that time. However, it is a popular vacation time for many different reasons in Finland. And although this week is very significant to me personally, it could be considered favoritism or even discriminatory if my manager always took my wishes as the first priority and gave me this week off every year just because I always take this week off every year. So therefore, I have to expect sometimes that my manager will come back to me and say, listen, there are too many people requesting this week off and we can't do without you because the workload is too heavy. So then what her responsibility is, review all of our requests as early as possible, see where there's a conflict, and then come back to me and say, I cannot approve your vacation. And then we have a discussion over when I might take that week of vacation instead.
Exactly. So planning is the key. Got it. But even with the best planning, things can change. Employees can get sick before or during planned vacation, or sometimes they can't use all of the planned vacation due to a very serious business-related reasons. It must be really serious to call back employees back from vacation. It is possible to change planned vacation timing in such cases, but series of separate rules govern these kind of situations. So please seek advice if needed, and we have added here a link to Azets blog that explains the basic rules in these situations in the Nordic countries.
So we've already talked about vacation salary and vacation bonus, so let's talk about vacation compensation next. Vacation days payout during employment is the exception to the rule, so let's start there.
It's important to understand that vacation law is mandatory legislation, and the right to vacation time off cannot be exchanged for money. This means that the employees must get to keep the accrued vacation from the previous year as free time during employment. And as we learned, you can't be on vacation only half day in Finland. And what we also learned was to ensure that the employees take the time off. This is the responsibility of the employer.
So there are only a couple of exceptions to this rule that you can't exchange vacation days off for money, and they're mentioned here on the slide. So military service is mandatory in Finland for half the population, and this is the statutory military service, not an intermittent refresher training like we mentioned before. When an employee leaves for their mandatory military service, you must keep the employment valid if the employee does not resign. But vacation compensation is to be paid out at the start of the leave. Military doesn't pay salary, only a very small daily allowance to employees. So this is regulated by law to give some extra cash to the recruits. As a note, this mandatory service is different from the shorter military refresher training, just as I described a moment ago. But the other exceptions to the rule are the employees who work very little, under 35 hours per month. Employees who work only a few hours here and there have free time since they're not working every day, and they may not accrue vacation days, but they might earn vacation salary anyway as a proportion of their annual income during the earning year. In this case, it's generally paid out as money independently from when the employee has free time, and a couple of common options for this is during a certain pay cycle, for example, in the summer or winter holiday period, or within each pay cycle as vacation compensation on the earnings of the employee during that pay cycle.
Exactly. And as explained earlier, vacation bonus, that is not related to the law. It is extra money. And that means that it can be changed to extra free time if the employer allows it or the CBA requires it to be an option. However, as stated earlier, vacation days, which are required per law, they can't be changed to more money. So vacation payout during employment is only allowed in these very few specific exceptional cases. But this is the rule during employment. Payment at the end of employment has different requirements. So let's talk about that next.
So when an employee leaves your company, you must pay out all accrued and unused vacation, including the current vacation earning year. Vacation bonus has different rules under the collective bargaining agreements and is not required to be paid out in every circumstance. Therefore, let's focus on the vacation that must be paid out to your employees. When should it be paid out? And are there any special considerations when paying out vacation? The most important thing to take away from this topic is that if the employee has not been able to have vacation as free time during employment, then this must be compensated by money at the end of employment. Please note that also the vacation accrual during the current vacation earning year must be paid out, even though the days aren't available to use for the employee to use yet. As we've mentioned, any half-day accrual must be rounded up to the next full day. Vacation compensation is its own type of compensation and must be paid separately. It can't be substituted with or included as a part of a possible severance payment. As the vacation law and its provisions for payment is mandatory legislation, it's illegal to do so and could cause some dispute. So this is one reason more to make sure that all employees take their vacation during the vacation taking year so that you don't have so many days to compensate at the end of employment.
Exactly. In case you are signing a termination agreement with your employees, it is best never to mention a specific sum of vacation compensation to pay out. It is best to include general language about paying out accrued and unused vacation. There are several reasons for this, including that your estimate at the time of the agreement may not agree with the actual accrual as of the last day of the employment, especially if the employee is not released from work for the whole notice period. They still might use some days before the last day of employment, or there might be absences affecting the accrual, or commissions or vacationable bonuses can also change the sum of the accrual to pay out between the date of giving notice until the last day of employment. One very common question we receive in these cases is to estimate the total vacation payout months in advance. And when a specific amount is in the agreement, it is possible that you have been contracted to pay more money than the employee is actually owed.
Exactly. Or on the other hand, you may have contracted less money than the employee is actually owed, and that could be an even bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
Again, your collective bargaining agreements may have a set of rules referring to termination situations, so it's beneficial to be aware of those as well. So while not the focus of this webinar, I'll mention again that Azets has legal and HR advisors that can help you navigate sensitive vacation and employment matters such as dismissals, leaves of absence complexities, and questions about when and how to pay vacation.
I think that covers the vacation compensation, but one question that sometimes comes up, and they are the employees who state that the final salary, including this vacation compensation, must be paid on the last day of employment. And usually the last day of employment is not the normal pay date of the company, and thus would mean an extra payroll run, which means usually extra costs. So please note that this is in the law. It's written in the law for historical reasons again. So back in the day when salaries were paid cash in the working site, it was important to get your money on your last day if you were let go. So that's why the law secures this. However, it is possible to make an exception to this rule by stating in the company rules that at the end of employment, the final salary, including the vacation compensation, will be paid during the next normal pay date. This is always best done in writing with employee's signature, such as the employment contract. So again, if you need any help with your HR handbooks, rules, local rules, your employment contract templates, you can always reach out to our HR and legal advisor colleagues. I think that vacation compensation was our last subject for today.
Yes, today we've discussed a lot of varied topics surrounding Finnish vacation accrual, vacation planning, leaves of absence, and other topics related to vacation. As you can see, the basic rules are of 2 or 2.5 days earned per month is quite simple, but depending on the situation, more complex rules will apply. And the rules kind of seem to stack one on the other, don't they? It can be difficult to determine the vacation days and salary depending on the employment type or absences. So we'll go over a brief summary of what we've discussed here today and provide you with a few terms and definitions and links for your use in the future. As a summary, Vacation must be earned first and then it can be used. The employee must work a minimum amount per month to accrue either 2 or 2.5 days of vacation per month. Vacation can also accrue during absences based on the absence type, whether paid or unpaid. When paying out a vacation, a half day is rounded up to a full day, both in the accrual and the payment, and in the spirit of the law, prefers whole vacation weeks. And these weeks include Saturdays under the Annual Holidays Act. Importantly, 2 consecutive weeks during summer is the minimum requirement for employees with a full accrual. With the Saturday rule coming from the law, this means 12 vacation days must be allowed to be used consecutively. The employer is responsible for having some kind of estimate of the vacation liability in their books, and this can be determined with a vacation accrual.
Employer is also responsible to make sure all employees use their vacation during the taking year, and planning is the key here to make sure that your business's needs are also met. It's good to be aware of the collective bargaining agreement that your company follows locally and any local agreements that have been done with the employees or their representatives over the years. All employees must be treated equally when planning vacations.
And most importantly of all, there is no such thing as a foolish question. The foolish question is the one you didn't ask. It's always better to ask than to make mistakes. And never be afraid to ask for clarification if you're unsure or if you receive an explanation that doesn't seem to make sense to you. We're including a link to a brochure from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment in Finland about the Annual Holidays Act that summarizes the most important sections of the law in English.
So, we hope that this webinar has helped you to get a better understanding of the Finnish Annual Holidays Act and the responsibilities of the employer in this area.
And as we said in the beginning, we will check your questions and we'll send a Q&A list when we send the materials to you, hopefully early next week. We would really love to hear your feedback on the webinar, and you can send it by scanning the QR code here on this page. We would also love to hear more about any other topics you might like Azets to present in future webinars. We really do want to hear from you what you would like to see in the future.
Exactly. So scan the QR code and send us some answers. And as said, we will send answers to your questions early next week. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.